All right, Marvin, the recording has started, so take the floor, sir.
All righty. Welcome, everybody. My name is Marvin Mao. I am a member of the Mainframe Product Marketing team, and I support CA Mainframe Application Tuner. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this webcast, Save Money, Improve User Experience, How to Improve Application Performance Management with CA Mainframe Application Tuner. Today we have the privilege of having Frank Schuler and Tom Quinn, Senior Principal Product Manager and Senior Engineering Service Architect for CA Mainframe Application Tuner. Just a few words on logistics before we get started, though. To ensure audio quality, we ask that you please remain muted for the duration of the webcast. If you're not already muted, you can do so by dialing #6 or #6. Now, that said, we very much welcome your questions and feedback, and please feel free to submit those through the Q&A section on your screen. Now, to get started, we really are very, very excited to be presenting to you on CA Mainframe Application Tuner, or we just call it CA MAT for short. There are truly sort of multiple ways in which this tool could be the right fit for you, one that can provide great value. And that's whether you're approaching this from an application development perspective or maybe from a mainframe operations perspective. Now, what is it, thinking about your needs, certainly saving on cost is definitely a big one here, and this might come through on reducing your MIPS costs or maybe saving on your software licensing costs. All of these very much applicable to CA MAT. But maybe even on the flip side, improving your application performance, also very key with this tool. And we definitely look forward to sort of detailing some of these aspects through the specific features to be discussed today. Now, altogether, CA Mainframe Application Tuner really helps optimize the customer experience and avoid MIPS costs, as well as saving on your software costs. And really, this comes down to reducing MIPS usage, saving on your maintenance costs. It comes through with the automated performance measurement and analysis, as well as it being very simple to use and install. With that, let me just turn it over to our product owner, Frank Schuler. Frank, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Marvin. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frank Schuler. I'm the product owner for CA Mainframe Application Tuner. And just to reemphasize what Marvin had discussed, MAT is really going to help you in a number of different ways, whether your initiative is mobile to mainframe initiatives in terms of trying to improve performance on distributed applications accessing into the mainframe. That's a very common theme that we have validated with a number of our customers. A lot of our customers are utilizing MAT as part of their DevOps process as well. And certainly key to this is the ability to be able to use MAT to identify inefficient applications and to help the organizations ultimately reduce their MIPS usage, and that allows them obviously to save on maintenance costs and software licensing. So MAT has become a very key part of our customers' application performance initiatives, and we look forward to showing you more about our capabilities on this call today. So I think we go to the next slide, Marvin. We'll start off with a quick case study. A key MAT customer was having both a batch performance issue as well as an online issue. It was a very large LBM is located in Germany and is a very large insurance company, I believe. And what they utilized MAT, first of all, was to be able to reduce their batch windows. They're having an enormous batch window of over 14 hours. They put MAT on that. A couple of performance opportunities were clearly identified that MAT identified. As a result of that, they were able to get that down pretty quickly from 14 hours down to 7 hours. And that was obviously a 50% improvement in the batch window, ensuring their online availability in the morning. In addition to that, they had just rolled out a new application initiative, and they were having terrible optimization and access issues. They were maxing out their alphas at 100%, and once again, they were able to use MAT as part of that tuning effort, and they were able to quickly identify some tuning opportunities from an online perspective to reduce their capabilities and improve their processing by almost 20%. So that's a typical case study that we run into, and we certainly look forward to hearing your success with MAT as well. In this slide, what we're going to talk about is, well, what does MAT do? It's an ongoing process. It's going to allow organizations to determine the root cause of the application performance issues on ZOS-based applications. We're going to come in and provide proactive application analysis, and we're going to identify high CPU consumption. We'll be able to tell you average application runtime and certainly response time as well. And then we're going to put that together, and it gives you the application view of performance so that system and performance programmers, application developers, and database administrators can utilize MAT as part of their performance initiative. So on the right-hand side, we talk about the cycle. So typically, we're going to start by identifying what the opportunity is. Utilize MAT to identify, which applications are running inefficiently. We're going to be able to identify those particular areas of the application code. We'll be able to help you to identify performance trends. We'll even be able to implement through our EMA, be able to suggest applications that you may want to target that you may not even be aware of that are running inefficiently. And we're going to put that all together in an in-depth analysis and performance metrics perspective for you. Okay, so on this slide, we're going to talk about how overall, how MAT is going to come together for you. We're a sampling process. We're not a monitor. We have there's a lot of great tools out there, such as SYSVIEW, that is going to come from a monitor and watch the overall health of your system resources. And that typically a monitor is watching the entire health of the actual system, and it's going to identify there may be a particular application that is running very inefficiently, that's consuming a lot of CPU or causing wait times or slow transaction response time. So when you have a toolkit such as SysView, we're going to partner with MAT, and MAT's going to come in and tell you specifically within your application, where that performance degradation is occurring. So MAT is going to give you the application perspective, and it's going to be able to identify it right down to the line of code, so you can have a root cause analysis of where your performance opportunities are. So at the core, MAT is a sampler as opposed to a monitor. So because we're a sampler, we don't need to watch everything 24/7 as a monitor typically does. So typically, we're going to look at an application for about 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to take anywhere from 10 to 20 samples, and that's more than enough for us to be able to see what's driving the performance opportunity for us. We're going to, as I said, we're going to tell the application perspective of where the performance is within your application code. Thank you, Marvin. At this point, what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Tom, and he'll be able to walk you through from a technical perspective how the MAT process works.
Thank you, Frank. This is Tom Quinn. I am one of our product specialists from a technical perspective on our mainframe performance tool suite. So just a few products and the MAT products that we're talking about today. So I'll talk a little bit about how MAT actually works, and then some of our integration points and the automation points. So as Frank said, the purpose of Mainframe Application Tuner, or MAT, is to identify those application performance delays and utilization. It monitors the application programs, helps you to pinpoint the delays by observing and sampling program activity to show you the application view of performance. Now, MAT can be used in any of your environments. For example, you may use it in your development environment to ensure that quality code is being deployed. Maybe you run it in your test environment if your expected results are not what you're seeing. Of course, or in your production environment if you have some slowdowns, some application slowdowns or outages where you need to gather that deep analysis type information. You know, it's supplementary to, as Frank said, your real-time performance monitor. So if you're familiar with CA SYSVIEW, that's that real-time performance monitor. Mainframe Application Tuner is going to be used in those circumstances where you need that deeper analysis. So the two tools, as we'll show in future slides here, do work together to provide that whole complete view. So how MAT works, data is gathered using a disable interrupt exit or a die exit and a global service request block, so SRB. So we call it the die SRB technology. It's a non-invasive, low-density sampling technique. Sampling and runtime statistics are gathered then to identify efficiencies in the application code, database calls, I/O access, and so on. Then once this data is collected, it's analyzed and it's then presented back in an application-specific delay format, and you have multiple interface opportunities. So you have the ISPF interface, of course, you know what we call our traditional green screen, and then the mainframe environment. But then we also have the graphical user interface. So the GUI interface is, also provides you that interactive analysis of the data as well. So as you can see on this particular slide, there are multiple components that make up MAT as a total, but it starts with your measurement definition. So you define what it is that you're wanting to measure, how many samples you want to take, how long you want that MAT to monitor that workload to actually take those samples, and then that actually creates a monitor session based off that measurement definition itself. That monitoring session is then kicked off. And there's multiple ways. We'll talk about multiple ways in which you actually kick off these monitoring sessions. But that monitoring session then is kicked off, as Frank noted. It samples the job or the workload that's actually running, and then brings back this information and provides it back to you in a variety of ways, but mostly in that full detailed analysis to show you where time really is being spent within the workload that you're monitoring within the application. All right, next slide, Marvin. All right, so you can see here, MAT supports multiple subsystems. As you can see, DB2, IMS, DICS, MQ, so on, and multiple languages. Okay, so the languages that we have supported here, as an example of some of these, your COBOL, your PL1, Assembler, C, and so on. All the support that you see here is included as part of the Mainframe Application Tuner product. So you're not required to license. For example, if you buy the MAT, you license the MAT-based product, there aren't then additional add-ons for the different languages or the different subsystems that you're wanting to support. It is all included as part of the core product, which makes your maintenance easier, makes your installation configuration, and of course, it brings your licensing costs in line. Next slide, please. So another part of MAT, or Mainframe Application Tuner, is the Performance Management Assistant, affectionately known as PMA. So PMA it's part of the automation to invoke your MAT monitor sessions. So as you're using these types of tools, you of course have to ask yourself those types of questions. Do you know overall what is affecting your performance? Do you know when batch process times have increased? Do you have that enterprise-wide view of your transactions, programs, database calls are consuming the most resources? And then, of course, most importantly, at least to me, is can you automate that? Can you automate that monitoring across your enterprise look for any of those anomalies, and then invoke a tool like MAT to gather more detail to get more information when those problems are actually occurring. So if you have a slowdown, and even when that's not necessarily a problem, which is of course when you want to fix it, we can help identify when that performance profile is changing, and then you get alerted that there is a change in that profile, and then you can also kick off that MAT monitor at that same time. So on the next slide here, we'll see a little bit more details about that. Okay. So again, like I mentioned, it is a component of the Mainframe Application Tuner product. Its goal is to significantly reduce the manual effort for managing your application performance. So how this works is PMA is going to scan your load, job, and procedure libraries. It calculates the statistics to create a baseline. It compares that baseline to the current consumption values, looking for any of those performance anomalies. So within the PMA product, it's not only automated, but then you can also specify like specific jobs, transactions, specific workloads or applications that you're wanting to include in part of PMA to automate this. Anything that is exhibiting an increase in resource consumption, all those things combined can then become measurement requests to Mainframe Application Tuner. So PMA is a component of MAT, and it helps bring in that automation for across your multiple LPARs, across your enterprise, bring that back into MAT so that you can automatically invoke those measurements based on multiple things like we already mentioned. So either the performance profile is changing, or you know that there's a specific batch job or a specific transaction that you want to catch when it does run. You can invoke these things into PMA. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've already talked about MAT, okay, and as you've seen, Mainframe Application Tuner is used against your applications, provides analysis of where the resources are being consumed. The Performance Management Assistant further enhances this ability by automating the invocation of the MAT measurements. So PMA is very precise, it's configurable, and it's automated, giving you complete control over the situation, over the solution. So PMA tracks your applications across the enterprise, learning the behavior, generating alerts if that performance profile changes. This process enables you to more proactively measure your applications, identify those transactions affecting performance, and batch jobs whose runtime is increasing. PMA also automates the review of the gathered information by extracting information from the MAT monitors and prioritizing that information, help you to focus on the areas that will produce the largest return. Then we mentioned the integration with SYSVIEW. So CA SYSVIEW, again, is that real-time performance manager for the mainframe. And then Mainframe Application Tuner is going to be, really, you're not running the monitors 24/7. You're not constantly taking measurements. It's more used for when you need that deep dive analysis. So when SYSVIEW detects a problem, it can automatically invoke Mainframe Application Tuner to take that measurement. That integration then allows you to get more details than you might be able to get inside of SYSVIEW and actually drill down farther into the details of that application or the transaction or the batch job. And the intention behind this integration is to help with that overall end-to-end connectivity and to be able to see your applications from start to finish, as Frank mentioned, from mainframe or mobile to mainframe. We want to be able to give you as much information as possible when a situation arises. So there's multiple ways that you can invoke MAT from SYSVIEW. The one that I think is extremely powerful is through the proactive alerting or monitoring and alerting perspective of SYSVIEW. So if you have thresholds set in SYSVIEW, one of those thresholds is then the level is triggered. You can do auto, if you're familiar with SYSVIEW, there's multiple things that you can do, but one of those things that you can do through the event capture option of SYSVIEW is use that to invoke a MAT measurement against whatever it is that triggered that alert. So for example, if you have an alert set against CICS transactions for CPU or response time, you can trigger that alert. That alert then will invoke event capture. Event capture will then kick off Mainframe Application Tuner against that transaction that actually triggered the alert. And then as well as within SysView, you can of course use event capture to capture more data as well. So now you have a combination of the data of like your overall system data and then the details about the, in this case, the transaction that you're monitoring, which gives you a nice view of what really happened on the system at that time and gives you all those levels. Now, the second way, of course, is you can manually invoke MAT measurement from any of the command lines within SysView. So if you are within SysView and you are monitoring a particular batch job or you're looking at a specific HICS or IMS transaction, from simply entering a command on the command line next to that transaction, you have the ability to invoke a MAT measurement against that transaction as it's happening. And so that will take the default measurement that, or monitor file that you've created, or the definition that you've created, and invoke it against that particular transaction. So that's adding yet another level of detail that you can get about your workload. So in a combination of things, you know, either proactive monitoring or active monitoring while you're we'll say firefighting, to just get more details that you then need.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. We want to take this opportunity to connect with our customers to just let them know that CA has gone fully committed to an agile development process. As a key part of that, we're constantly looking for feedback and validation. And we have two ways for you to influence the product direction and focus of CA MAT. The first one is by joining our CA communities, our ideation location, and that's you can register at communities.ca.com on that, and that's going to allow you to suggest ways and enhancements to improve the overall MAT product. You know, what you want us to concentrate on and what we need to do better. So it's a key part of our development process, and we certainly would welcome your participation in that process. And once again, that's part of the at communities@ca.com. The other way to help us as well is to join our validation program as part of our development cycles. What we have is a number of our customers have joined as part of the at validateca.com, and they join with us on a monthly call to overview what we're currently working on in development and give us validation and feedback on that. And they work directly with our development teams and get to influence the product in even greater detail. So we would welcome your participation in that at validate@ca.com, and that's a good way for us to connect with you at both validate@ca.com as well as communities@ca.com. And one other point I want to emphasize as well is that a lot of performance tools out there will require you to, if you purchase the software and you wanted to determine what's going on from a performance perspective, you have to purchase separate feature sets, such as CICS feature or DB2 feature. And I want to emphasize to our customers that once you have CA MAT, you have access to all this feature set right out of the box functionality. Same thing with PMA. That comes with your purchase price of CA MAT. So it's something that's there and available for you, and we look forward to working with you to maximize the value that you're receiving out of CA MAT. And I'll turn it over to Marvin at this point.
All righty. Frank, Tom, thank you both so very much for taking the time to share your thoughts and expertise on CA Mainframe Application Tuner. Truly, it's been a very, very informative chat. Before we officially close, I do want to just reiterate that point that we very, very much welcome your participation and engagement on the CA MAT product development front. Really, we're here to help, design and improve our products to specifically fit your needs. And to that, we'd love to hear your voice either through the CA communities or through customer validation. Now, on that front, though, about hearing your voice, some of you might know that our company holds our annual conference every year in November, and I wanted to take just a quick moment to let you know that we are, for this year, 2016, opening up right now submissions for speakers come this November for CA World 16. If you have a quick second and you have an idea that you think would be really exciting to share this year at World, we would absolutely love to hear about it. And if you want to put that together, just visit ca.com/CA World to submit your idea. Again, though, going back to the webcast, though, in closing, your voice is always your voice, your opinions are always very welcome. And if you want to submit your ideas, I recommend first place to go is communities. If you want to learn more about the product, please do visit our website, ca.com. You can learn all about the latest and greatest on the newest features for CA MAT. Now, with that, I'm just going to bring this to a close. Again, folks, we very much welcome your questions and your feedback. Please do submit those through the Q&A section. So with that, do we have any questions on the line? Let's take a look.
No questions yet, Marvin.
All righty. Well, quickly though, Frank and Tom, it seems pretty clear that to maximize, I think, the value from CA MAT, a lot of that comes down to, I think, the art of really setting up the appropriate measurements. And I was wondering if one of you two could maybe take a quick moment to offer your suggestions and recommendations on really getting yourself set up with this product.
Yeah, sure. So I guess we both want to jump in on that one. And we also have a couple of our other analysts on the phone as well that are very familiar with the product and assist with my teammates and also Frank's teammates. They may wish to jump in as well. But MAT it's a sampling-based product, so it is a very statistical approach. So in most situations, you're going to run a duration of anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes in most cases. That's going to give us enough information to really identify the root cause for the resource consumption. Depending on the load caused by the measured address space, you're going to get anywhere from 10 to 20,000 observations, and that gives us enough information to actually do that analysis. So it's not necessarily the longer the measurement's not necessarily the better. You really want to measure, I guess the mantra is measure long enough to get significant information, but not too long to avoid unnecessary overhead, right? So you got to find that sweet spot for your individual environment and the workload that you are actually monitoring.
And another point that we always like to make too is that the nice part about MAT is you really don't need to measure your entire application suite to determine where the performance opportunities. So typically, organizations are going to know the long-running performance or application or programs or transactions that are causing them concern. So obviously, those are the ones we're going to concentrate on. And joined with PMA, we can also offer some opportunities for applications you may not be aware of that are impacting your overall application performance. So the long and short of it is that the applications, is certainly dependent on what's important, the mission critical applications to you. most customers are going to know their bread and butter applications that they rely on, and they know when they're having degradation problems against that. And that's a great opportunity to invoke MAT as part of that process to get down to the root cause analysis and tell you the specific where in the application your degradation is occurring.
All right, excellent. I would say along similar lines, now taking into account PMA the Performance Management Assistant, and specifically its automation capability, is there a way to control the amount of measurements that are taken when using automation?
Yeah, absolutely. For both MAT and PMA, there are several parameters that are user defined. That helps to limit the number of measurements that are running concurrently or the number of measurements that are running during a defined period. So you absolutely have control over how often those measurements are actually taken. So it's a lot of user-defined configuration items that allow you, again, to customize that for your shop so that when you have a monitor definition that makes sense for your environment, for the workload that you're monitoring, and then in combination with the features of PMA from an automation perspective, you can really narrow in on and focus on the workload that you're wanting to monitor and get this information for.
All righty.
Hey, Marvin, we actually do have a comment from Carlos Madrid on the team. He said, great presentation. I have an observation. As more customers migrate to the Z13 and they have older mainframe applications, this should be an excellent opportunity. I've personally witnessed in my value portfolio group with performance degradation. And then we also have one question. Will you be running a future webcast session to demonstrate CA MAT in action? For example, identifying a problem and showing how to interpret the MAT outputs.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to have that opportunity to show that, and we also offer that not only at a community level, but we'd be more than happy to engage with any particular customer to walk them through individually how to leverage and get the most value internally for you as well. So we're more than happy to assist from that perspective as well.
Excellent. I don't see any other questions coming in. I guess we can wait another minute or two.
No, yeah. I think we can just go ahead and bring this to a wrap. First, just quickly, Carlos, thank you very much for that comment there. Absolutely, if as you think about your specific situation in your organization, the business problems that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, we definitely encourage you to take a moment to think about how CA Mainframe Application Tuner can help resolve some of those issues. If you are a current customer, we'd love to hear a bit more about your story, or actually either way, hear about your story and learn a bit about how we can better help you out there. And as always, again, we really just can't emphasize this enough, just love to hear your voice here on CA Communities. Please do go and join the forum, voice your thoughts, voice your ideas. We very much want this to be sort of a customer-first, user-driven process here at CA. So at the close of our webcast right now, if you have a quick moment, I definitely encourage you just to hop on there and go check that out. Otherwise, we would very much like to follow this up with another webcast, maybe detailing some of the sort of the ins and outs of the product, and definitely when that is put together, do be on the lookout on Communities and elsewhere for information on when that will be made live. Otherwise, if you have any specific follow-up questions, if you've been keeping track of your webcast, we have Frank and Tom's email address up here. Please do feel free to follow up with them. And in closing, everyone, thank you again so much for taking the time to join us today. It's been a sincere pleasure chatting with you.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day.